Okay. Oh, okay. I'm just recording this for my YouTube channel, so I need more content. So I was like, made a promise to myself yesterday that anytime we have flowers, I'll record myself. So anyway, thank you all for joining me tonight, and I'm really excited to do flowers with you guys. My name is Carly Cylinder. I own a floral design company called Flower LA, but it's Flour, because I thought it was going to be a cafe florist when I started this, but I started doing flowers out of my apartment over 7 years ago, and just stuck with the flowers, so it really doesn't make sense, but that's what it's called. Website's flourla.com if you want to see. And when I expanded to New York in like 2013, then it really was confusing. But so a lot of what we do, and we're expanding to Dallas this fall. So a lot of what I do is for fashion, PR, and beauty, lifestyle industries. My biggest clients are PR firms, so we do a lot of events anytime there's like a new product launch or activation, anything like that. And my first book, The Flower Shop, which is on the table, was published on March 1st of this past year. So that was, thank you so much. It was a 5-year type project getting it published. So Jen got to witness lots of trials and tribulations and doing test shoots here and trying to figure it all out. And she was kind enough to have a book party from here, so that was really nice. It's so fun. I started teaching here. I had moved here into, I think, end of 2012, 2013, and a friend of mine was doing cooking classes here, and I taught floral design classes in LA, so she said, you know, come to the Brainery, and this is the only place I do classes, so it's been really awesome here. We do all sorts of classes. I'll do an intro to floral design. We do a lot of holiday, like wreaths or spring wreaths, and so yeah, you guys should check that out. Sorry. Hi. I'm waiting still on like 3 or 4 people.
Great.
So yeah, there's gonna be people coming in. All sorts of things. Okay, so just doing a little about me. If you have questions at all during class, just shout it out or raise your hand, and I'm happy to answer. I don't know a lot about gardening though, so if you ask me, I know that. How many of you guys have done flowers before?
Just at home.
At home, that's good. You may have bought flowers.
Yeah.
You guys have seen flowers? Okay, there we go. Okay, so there's many techniques to do flowers. There's numerous ways to create an arrangement. Today I'm going to show you how to spiral a bouquet. That spiraling is the technique that we use to make a bouquet, whether it's a bridal bouquet or a wildflower bouquet. It's just the technique that makes it go faster and kind of round. So I'm going to show you how to do that, and then we'll make a grid on the top of the vase. Have you guys ever seen that? No? A lot of florists will do it. Just use this clear face tape. This is I always say if there's one product you need or tool you need, it's this in floral design. It's waterproof, so it's a little bit different than Scotch tape. You can buy it at the Flower District or on Amazon. It's probably easier for most people. And if you do buy it, buy the Oasis brand. I was like, I should get paid to say that, but because I'm always like, buy their brand. But the other brands will like work in tariff, so they're kind of like the,
Everything I only oversee Oasis.
Oasis? No. In LA, I kept using this one tape, and it was always breaking. And I was like, I can't figure out what's going on. And they told me that they hid this behind the counter, the brand name. I was like, what?
So what is this called?
So this is just called clear vase tape. Yeah. Yeah. In flowers, we have like also a million names for tape. So I call this thick green tape because it's thick and green, but it's technically called bold tape. So many names. So yeah, this is something you would definitely need, because if you were going to put the flowers in the vase, it would topple, you know, sideways and make it super frustrating. This is the way you can make an arrangement look professional using any kind of flowers. So getting to that. So I'm going to just kind of go over the flower prep and care, and okay. So we have actually, Jen got these from the farmer's market, which is so cool because normally when we do classes here, we buy it, wholesale from the flower district, but nearly every flower there is imported. So this is definitely way more eco. I was very happy about that. So we have, do you guys know what these are? Snapdragons. So for any flower that has kind of a soft petal, I just strip it downwards like rosemary. So like that, same for lilies or anything like that. When we're arranging, you always have to remove the leaves that are going to be below the water line. That's because it looks for messy and creates lots of bacteria, which is what will kill your flowers very fast. I always, most of the time, will take off the greenery from below the top of the vase. So I'll strip all the way down. So what you're going to do is prep all the flowers before, and that can be pretty time consuming, but clean all the petals off. Something cool about snapdragons or any tall flower like stock is if you don't like the shape and say you're super modern and you like tight, like compactful styles of arrangements, whereas this is a little bit more rustic and wildflower, you can always cut it from the top, which I thought was such a weird concept when I was first starting out, because you only think about cutting flowers from the bottom, but this is from the top. So does that make sense? You could give it a little haircut, something like that. Oops. I think almost all of these have soft type petals. This is celosia, which is good for texture. I would again just kind of remove it down, so pretty simple.
What's the name?
This is called celosia. Celosia. Have you seen this before?
See the name.
Yeah. There's a round type flower that looks like this, but looks like a brain. I don't know if you guys have seen that. It's fuzzy.
Yes.
That's called coxcomb. It's a little bit, I think, more common here, especially in bodegas, but same type of family. And then we just have zinnias and other seasonal wildflowers that don't really have anything on them, so we're lucky there. These are straw flowers. You've seen these before?
These are nice.
Oh, this is
If you feel it,
good.
there's some flowers, I mean they're fresh, but there's some flowers that are dry, I guess, look dry, even when they're alive. So that's how they will dry. I'm not being eloquent, but you know what I'm saying. My editor showed me a lot more sense. Pretty cool. So then we're doing a flower crown class after this one, and this is definitely a flower I'm used for that. Hi.
Hi, sorry.
No problem. So this is straw flower.
What's it called?
Straw flower? Like straw. Yeah. I honestly can't remember the name of this purple flower. It's showing me crazy. If anyone knows it, feel free to speak up. It's wildflower, it's a type of filler. I have no idea what it's called. I ask at the mart every time and they tell me and I forget. So these are just kind of filler wildflowers. And then over here we have green pom-poms. These have many names, also called hermit pom-poms, mums. They're mums. So these are super long lasting. We use these a lot in flower walls or like a ring bearer pillow. Anything that's sculptural, we'll use these. They last a very long time. And they come in yellow, white, and green. We have Alstroemeria here. I'm sure you guys have seen this. The fancier name is a Peruvian lily. And these, although they can be sensitive to heat, they are one of the most long-lasting flowers. So you just have a whole bouquet of those. It can look very chic, and it can last up to 3 weeks if you recut the stems and change the water. So it's definitely a good flower if you're on a budget or lazy like me. We don't want to care for things in your house. And then we have clover here, which is also, I saw some here. Oh, this is clover, which is so cute. So these are good for texture. And then this is ruscus. This greenery, it's like a freak of nature. It will last up to 3 months. I have this in my house and it lasts that long. So yes, this.
What's it called again?
This is called ruscus, Ruscus. So this is definitely like, you just just put this in some bud vases and put it along I have in my bathroom. You don't have to worry about it. I didn't realize that till I was shooting something with my neighbors, and I think I had it left over in their boys. You know, they're not going to change the flower or do anything. And I went up one day and I was like, it's been 3 months. So then I realized how long lasting those are.
Even when I cried.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff we have.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have some. And we have a little bit of status over here, which I don't have much to say. You see that? This is another one that feels dry. Okay, so good. Do you guys have questions about the flowers we're using? Okay, so I'm going to show you how to spiral. You use about 3 snapdragons and a few of the others. Some of these are already pre-cut, which is kind of cool. Okay. So if you have a very long flower like this, that would be too long probably for a vase or a bouquet, you can cut it into spots so that you get the most out of it, which is something cool. You can also do that with, do you know what gladiolos are?
Yes.
The tall ones, or bells of Ireland, anything like that. Most people would just cut it and then you're going to waste the bottom part, but you can actually get 2 pieces out of it. So I just find a spot about halfway. Short, and then I'll remove the bottom third or half just to elongate the stem. So now I have 2 pieces. So to spiral, normally I demonstrate this with roses because they're the most uniform and it's easiest to see what I'm doing, but I'm going to try to go slow so you guys can see. So you would strip off all the leaves. And then I'm going to start with the first flower, and I'm going to make my left hand a holder. So naturally you're going to want to do this. You should kind of keep it round. And I'll place it on an angle inside the holder. Now it's much easier to work fast. So the faster you work, the easier it is, whether it's arranging or spiraling. Because a lot of people will just try to make it perfectly so, but what happens is it's going to knock the other flowers around and make it very frustrating for you. So I go pretty fast. Then I'm going to take the next flower and go over at an angle on top. And then I'll just shoot the snapdragons. And then again going over. Does that make sense? So I kind of keep on doing that. The reason I'm doing that is because eventually I'll have to press the stems down so it goes down very easily. If I had a stem going the other direction, this is true mainly for like a bridal bouquet. It would look sloppy to see that, but it would also snap the other stems. So do that again. Now when you're arranging, usually, okay, what I'll do is I'll kind of place them, group them, and then just take one from each pile. Hi. No, it's fine. I'll catch you up on that. Too much, but okay. So I'm going to start with the flower, and then I'll just take one from each grouping. If you needed to get to another area, you would give it a little quarter or half twist. Some YouTube videos, if you watch about how to make a bouquet, they'll twist it every time they add a flower, but what that does is it makes it really floppy. So I'll just do it once or twice during the entire thing. And then it doesn't matter if I put the stem over here or over here, just whatever kind of style you like. And when you're adding in a big flower like this, it should always be slightly off-center. So you can think about flower arranging like painting. The focal point should always be off-center because you want your eye to travel. It would be super weird if it was just straight. Some people do that and I just, do you hear me say that's interesting? Probably. You probably do that. I'm like, okay, whatever. But you should have something off-center. If this were, we're using a lot of wildflowers, so it's easy because we're kind of getting the same look, but if it were, say, a bouquet of roses, and you wanted to add something in, it's very hard to get the exact pattern you want when spiraling. So I'll pull through the greenery or any flowers that are prominent. So I would just take the greenery. You could spiral this, I'm showing you. And press it down to the spot I want, and then pull it through. I do this a lot too with thinner stems, like if you wanted this little clover popping out, but you don't want to have to go back, you could just pull it through. If you want something more rustic, you can keep it different. Does that make sense? And again, I'm kind of just putting something off center and creating. So that's how you spiral. If you want to do this method and then drop it in the vase, you can secure it numerous ways. The easiest is going to be this twine because it has wire in it. Let's see if it's actually cut. Yep. Okay, your stems will be clean. Oh, I should actually note this. If you want something tighter, you're going to tie it towards the top of the bouquet. This is true for all bouquets. If you want something a little bit more loose, you would tie it in the middle and fan it out. So you can use the twine if you want, and I just go around. We also have some burlap, which is really cute. And then I will usually use this tape, or this is tape we use mainly for like boutonnieres and stuff like that, and then cover it with ribbon. But this is going to be the easiest. The second method is making the grid. Do you guys have questions? Yes.
That twine won't kill the flowers?
No. Yeah. So it will.
I mean, you don't want to make it too tight, right?
Yeah. I mean, you don't want to snap the stems. So yeah. But it won't. Yeah. Nothing that you wrap around the flowers, I don't think would kill them. I'm pretty sure. If you do something and it kills it, let me know. I'm pretty sure that's a fair statement. So the nice part about if you have a bouquet and you just drop it in a vase is it's easier to take out and recut the stems. Recutting the stems and changing the water will make your flowers last a week longer. So
How often?
I'm going to say to do it every day, but I know that's not realistic. So I always say do it every other day. If that's not realistic, do it at least once. So if the flowers are going to last 5 days, for a few days, just do it once, and it will last.
How much do you cut?
I cut,
Because you can't afford like an inch every day.
right, so just all it's doing is you'll notice that the stems get kind of brown on the end. So I just give it, I'm going to use those clippers since I don't. So I just give it a small cut on an angle. You're always cutting it on an angle to create more surface space so that the flowers can drink water.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
So like, I guess you'll be ready soon to put it in the water, but how do I know
How?
how long to
Right.
leave it?
So I will measure it and then,
Okay.
oh, I should have those clippers. We might have to share because I don't think these other guys. Thank you. So I kind of eyeball it against the side and then
After you
cut it. After I tie it, yep. Because you can always cut it shorter.
Yeah.
So I'm the queen of cutting stems too short. There's actually a whole arrangement in there because I did that once. So I was like, had to make an arrangement with short stems. Yeah, you can always cut it shorter, just like your hair, clothing. But so always do it on the longer side. So I'll just give it a cut on the slant and then put it in. Change the water, recut the stems like every other day. If it's super hot out, which it is, what I do is I just put my flowers in the fridge for like an hour or two to kind of cool off. Some flowers are more delicate than others, so especially if it's a mixed bouquet, I'll usually leave it in for a couple hours. But like tulips, for instance, those open really fast in the heat. So if you put it in the fridge, it'll close right up. It's really cool. Within probably like 20 minutes or a half hour.
One more question. Do you have a thought process on like ratio in terms of like what looks good? Like should it be smaller than your kitties? You know what I mean, like basic
Yeah.
flower?
Yeah. The proportions. So the general traditional rule is the flowers shouldn't be more than twice the height of the vase, which would make it like about there. I don't really hold this to be true all the time though, because sometimes I have a tall vase and I keep it lower. Sometimes people have a short vase and make something a little bit more wild. You just want to make sure that it's balanced because it can tip over. And another thing too is the bigger it is, the more flowers it takes. So a lot of times if you're at home and you're arranging flowers, say you go to the market and you buy like a bunch of tulips and a mixed bouquet and you're going to make an arrangement, but then you have all those empty spaces, you'll have to cut the stem shorter to bring it in to fill it. So it's going to get smaller, but people often ask, you know, I have all these blank spaces, which I do. I'm like, you have to cut it. It has to be smaller. There's no other way, unless you really want something.
And then like, okay, one more.
No, and it's great.
How much should you, halfway? Is that like the standard?
For-
Like fill the bottles halfway. That's enough, that's good. Or
The amount or the
should you fill it
water?
all the way up? Yeah, the amount of water.
The amount of water. Usually I'll fill it 3/4 of the way full and leave about, these are a little bit lower, especially for traveling, and leave it about like an inch or so, because then when I add the stems, it's going to raise the water line. But sometimes actually in my home, I just like the way it looks when it's just like halfway full. Oh, French or so, I don't know. You know what I mean? It looks pretty when it's like that, but almost all the time, especially for an event, it's 3/4 of the way. Yeah. So if you have, I'll just touch on this even though we're not making big arrangements. If you were to do this at home and just enlarge it, enlarge the scale, it's not realistic for you to always change the water, and especially not recut the stem. But if you to change the water, you'll just put it under the faucet. So if you had an arrangement, put it under and let the old water flush out. You don't have to tip it out. So if it was like something tall and narrow, I would kind of pour it out and then refill it. But
When it comes to tulips, I find if I cut them and arrange them the first day, they will stay nice and
Yeah.
straight. But if I want to change the water in a couple days and cut them again,
they drip over
do a bit wrong.
in an arrangement or just tulips?
Just tulips.
Yeah, those are hard. I mean, people, I don't really do this, but if you put a penny, that's supposed to help.
I do that.
Break it up. Did it work?
Works for me the first time, but if I should want to cut them again and change the water,
Put a new penny?
not new penny.
Oh,
No.
maybe something about the copper or something in
Yes,
there?
it does work.
Yeah.
For tulips.
For tulips.
They stay nice and firm.
That's,
But
I
not
usually,
not if I recut them. I'll
Okay, they're
try
just-
to change the pennies.
yeah. What you could do if you really wanted them straight is I will take the flowers and take like newspaper or paper or whatever I have and force them to be straight, kind of like this. Like I would force them up and then wrap it and stick it in the fridge. And that will help with them. Tulips are the only flower that continue to grow after they're cut,
They
which
get
is
taller.
super weird. So if you make a beautiful arrangement the next day,
They get
they'll
taller.
be, yeah, so you have to pull them out and recut them. Like,
When you're arranging the bouquet, are you arranging for like a certain side, like the front side or the side?
yeah, you should think about where you're gonna wanna put it. If it were on like a dining room table or coffee table, you have to turn the vase every like 2 to 3 times just so that you're making it round. If you don't, you'll have a nice one-sided. So sometimes people do that and I'm like, okay, put that, you know, on a bedstand or something. But yeah, so usually you'll probably have like in your mind a place where you want to put it.
And then are there specific tips or like guidelines for when you're arranging it or?
Yeah, so I'll start arranging. That might help. Okay, so we're gonna take the,
So this was, spiraling is for a bouquet, a handheld.
or you can just drop it into the vase,
Okay.
like that. I would cut it. But. So if you have like a tall cylinder vase, you could just spiral it if it's quicker for you. Secure it. Somehow, I like to actually use clear ponytail holders too, if you have them. You can just do that really fast and then drop it in. So if you have also like an odd shaped vase that's hard to arrange or something tall and narrow, it's really hard to get stems in something that is that narrow. In that case, I will spiral it and tie it kind of lower, so really it's only that amount of stems, and then fan it out. So those are the reasons I would spiral.
And if it's wide like that and you have enough flowers, you don't really need to tie them because the flowers will
Yeah,
fill.
yeah, sure. Hold it. Okay, so. Okay, so we're gonna take the clear vase tape, and a lot of people might not do this on mason jars, but it will make a big difference. So you should. And I take it no one's worked with this before.
I'm trying to recreate it with Scotch tape.
It didn't work. I know. One of my clients tried to do that. She's like, I saw you do it. And I was like, it's not going to work. I was teaching this corporate class, I don't know, maybe this past winter, and I specifically said, don't use Scotch tape. Use the tape I brought. And someone ran to their office and got their Scotch tape. I was like, it's going to work. Yeah. Okay, so what you're going to do first is you will go around the perimeter of the vase and pull it tightly. The reason I do this is because after the flowers die, it'll make it easier to take off in one piece. I usually forget to do this so. And then I will make a grid. So I usually will do this about an inch apart as the general rule. If I was working with hydrangeas, the big flowers or sunflowers, I'll make it wider. If I'm working with like freesias or ranunculus, really thin stems, I'll make it narrower, just so it's easier. So on this, I'll do it 2 by 2. Actually, it's pretty narrow. I'm gonna do this, but it's actually not much space. I might just do one across. So I'm going each way. You guys see that? They do make some mason jars with the lids that have this, which is pretty useful. And then I'll go around once again, just to secure all the tape. Does that make sense? Okay. So if you have, if you have any type of vase, this would definitely be helpful for that. And then when I arrange, I usually will start with the largest flower first and create a base. That's more for more different type of arrangement. But for this, because we really only have one big flower, I'll start with the snapdragons. So I'll measure it against the base, same thing as before. Give it a cut. And then I'll stick it in at an angle. So when you arrange, really no matter what, all flowers should be slightly angled. If you stick it straight up and down, it will look odd again. I only do it straight up and down vertical when I'm making rows of flowers with that intention. So I'll put it in slightly angled. And then if you want something more asymmetrical, have kind of one be taller, kind of creating a V shape. Look what I mean. Like that. It's very light trim. And then I would continue to add in the flowers. Again, I'm kind of measuring each one. If I was making something very uniform, I would measure it once and then cut all the flowers to be the same length. Use this as the guide. But we're not really doing that today, so I'm eyeballing it a little bit.
So this is like a totally different technique than the
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to show you guys two techniques.